Thanks so much for joining the channel today. If you've ever sold or bought a boat or a car or an animal or a trailer or something along those lines, and you just did it with a handshake or something like that, and then there arose a dispute or a problem later on, you're not alone. A lot of times people try to buy or sell something along those lines, one of those items, and they do it without doing the one thing that I always tell people: 4 simple words. Get it in writing. Now, there might be some folks who think that that's an insult or some sort of questioning their trustworthiness or their integrity, especially if it's a close family member or somebody or a close friend that you've had for a long time, and you're standing around talking about buying their car, their motorcycle, or something like that. And you suggest that it should be in writing, and they might seem a little insulted or something. You can just encourage them at that point and say, it's because I value our relationship, our friendship, whatever, that I want to get it in writing, just so that we both have all the terms written down, so later on we can always refer back to them. So that's just a good way to do that. So what I want to share with you today are just some ways that you can avoid some of those mistakes that people make when they want to sell something private party and they just don't do it correctly, and it lands them in some sort of a problem later on. Sadly, there have been a lot of family relationships and friendships that have been broken apart, or somebody files a small claims action or something like that to enforce the agreement, or they accuse somebody of fraud or something like that. And you just want to try to avoid those things and maintain the integrity and closeness, and keep those relationships intact. And I'll show you how just a simple written agreement can just avoid a lot of bad headaches later on. So here's the first thing you want to avoid. I call it the handshake deal trap. Like I said, people are standing around talking about oh, that's a nice horse or motorcycle, or a car, whatever, trailer, boat, and you get to talking about it, and one of them says, "Yeah, I'm thinking of selling it." "Oh, well, how much would you take for it?" type of a thing. And they talk about it, and there's a handshake, and then something may happen later on that could cause a disagreement there, or the deal to fall through, and it leads to heartache and headache and broken relationships. Or there are issues come up like, oh, you said that trailer had tires, or you didn't tell me that this vehicle had engine trouble. Or the worst one of all is somebody says, well, I never really had the title in the first place, and so it doesn't transfer title properly. So in most states, you want to check your state, but in most states, a written agreement is not required. But here's the thing: a written agreement is always the only thing that shows what was actually agreed upon. Here's mistake number 2: left out terms of the agreement. Things that you agreed on, but were not properly set forth in the agreement. Key terms are things that you need to include. So a good private sale agreement, purchase sale agreement, should include a few things. One is the identification of both of the parties. Who are you? Who's the person who you're buying or selling with? Give the full legal names and their contact information. Second, give a detailed description of the item. If it's a car, a boat, or a trailer that has like a vehicle identification number, make sure that you put that in, or a serial number, a make, a model, what condition it's in, whether it's a sale as is meaning that you're selling it in that condition, and you're not making any representations about the condition that it's in. Next, make sure you include clear payment terms. What is the total cost, if it's going to be paid immediately or over time, and what each of the monthly payments are going to be, anything along those lines. The method of payment, that's going to be by a check or a money order, direct deposit, anything like that. All those terms just need to be clearly stated and spelled out. And as I alluded to a moment ago, if you need to include an as-is clause, you just put that in there to protect the seller in case something breaks later on, or there's a problem, or there's some sort of misunderstanding. Next, you want to have a little term in there about the transfer of ownership. When does it actually happen? and what constitutes that transfer of ownership. You want to have a term in there that discusses that. And then, of course, most important of all, signatures and the date. You would think that that's like, just basic. But, this is one of those things that sometimes people forget to include. A signature line and both people signing. It's not a valid agreement unless both people sign it. And leaving out any of these terms can be a big problem later on, especially if it's something like a vehicle or something like that, and the buyer later refuses to register the vehicle, or they dispute the sale altogether. So in the next section, just some examples of, a good sales transaction versus a bad one. So in one, scenario, a small claims case where a guy sold a used car for $4,000. The buyer paid cash and took the car and then claimed that the transmission was bad and sued for a refund. But there was no written agreement, and so there's no as-is clause, and there's no clear transfer date. So the seller is going to be ending up the loser in that transaction. Another one might be if you're selling an animal for breeding purposes, and the buyer claimed later on that there was a verbal guarantee, a verbal guarantee of pedigree and fertility. But again, there are no written terms, so that one's going to definitely turn into a legal nightmare over what was said and what wasn't. So what, the common theme between both of these, as I said, there's no written agreement. The moral of the story is the old legal maxim: if it's not written down, it didn't happen. And, as much as we would all like to trust one another, and that's a good thing if you have relationships where there's trust, but if it's not written down, somebody can always dispute it later, no matter how much you trust them or how good the relationship is. So what's the easy fix for all of this? A written agreement. Protecting yourself doesn't require a lawyer. It doesn't require expensive paperwork, any of that kind of thing. There are excellent, affordable legal templates that you can get online. And I'm going to leave a link to below to one company that sells these things. And they're super easy to use, super intuitive, super user-friendly, and you can get one of these for a low cost, and you can download it and fill it out and customize it so that it works in your state, your jurisdiction is valid and legal. The one thing that you'll always want to do is just make sure, take it to an attorney or somebody with legal knowledge and expertise in your state or your area who can just read through it quickly and let you know, yes, this will hold up. But typically, in every state across the nation, a binding agreement is going to have those salient features like I talked about. I personally recommend Law Depot, and I'll leave the link below where you can click on that link, and they have a whole variety of private sale agreements, purchase and sale agreements for dogs or cats, animals, boats, trailers, you name it. You simply download this thing, fill in the blanks, and then you have a good solid written agreement and you're ready to go. As I said, you just want to make sure you have it reviewed by someone with some legal expertise to make sure it will hold up in your state. And just for full disclosure, I am a Law Depot affiliate, which simply means that if you use the link in the description below and you purchase something from them, then I might earn a small commission, but that's at no extra cost to you. It doesn't change your purchase price. And I recommend it because I've looked through their forms and I find them to be good, easy, user-friendly forms that you can just fill out and download and print, and you have a written agreement between you and the other person. And you can customize it as to whether you're the buyer or the seller. So it's so super easy to use. So you just click on that link below, and let's say this is for a vehicle, a car purchase and sale. You just click on the right agreement, like vehicle bill of sale or general sale agreement, and then you just fill in the details right there on the screen. Then you can download and print it, and then you just have both parties sign them, and make sure you keep a copy of the signed agreement. And that's it. That's how easy it is to use and to put together a legally binding contract. So before you buy or sell, a car, a boat, a trailer, a puppy, a horse, whatever animal, a large piece of furniture, things like that, don't just rely on a handshake. And again, and I stress this very much, that relationships are far more valuable and important than whatever it is that you're buying or selling. And if you're selling to a family member or a friend, you just want to keep those relationships strong and intact, and having a binding written agreement is the way to do that, as I say, because then it reduces to written terms everything that you agreed upon, and it's in writing and it's signed. And a good written agreement ends up being the best 15 minutes that you spent, in terms of trying to buy or sell that item. So you'll find my Law Depot affiliate link below. And as I said, it's really easy. It's in the description box. You can just click on it to see all the available templates that they have and choose the one that's best for your situation. Thanks for joining me today. And if you found this helpful, as always, just please like and subscribe. We will always be putting up new legal tips that are going to be helpful for folks. And if you know somebody who's contemplating buying or selling something privately, go ahead and share this video with them, because I think it would be helpful for them as well. I'll see you in the next video, and stay smart and stay legal.